Perek Lamed Aleph Yud Beis. Yud Beis. V'yomer Hashem el Moshe Lemor, V'ato daber el b'nei Yisrael, Lemor, Acha Shabsosei Tishmoru. However, you must keep my Shabbosos. Why must you keep my Shabbosos? Ki osi beinu v'nechem. Because it's a sign between myself and you, l'dorosechem, for all generations, lo das, to know, ki ani Hashem mekadishchem, because I am Hashem who sanctify you. So again, you should speak to Bnei Yisrael. Acha Shabsosai. First of all, what is a Shabsosai, plural? Shabbos. Acha Shabbos Tishmoru. What's Shabsosai in the plural? The Rechaim HaKodesh speaks about the plural. Huh? Why must you keep it? Because Osi Beini V'nechem L'dorosechem. It's a sign to know Ki Ani Hashem Mekadishchem. Because I am Hashem who sanctified you. Who has sanctified you. What does one thing have to do with another? Because I sanctified you. If it's to commemorate that I created the world, I did creative activity. 6 days refrained on the 7th, okay? Okay, good. Let's see Rashi. V'ato daber b'nei Yisrael v'ato. First of all, what's the Ator? Ator also seems to be super. It says, Daber. You should speak. I mean, Moshe does all the speaking throughout the Torah. I mean, the communication of Torah comes through Moshe Rabbeinu, correct? So what is Va'ata and you'd speak? Who else is speaking to us, if not Moshe Rabbeinu? You should speak to them. Ator. Aval pishif karaticho letzavosa malechsa mishkon. Although I've commanded you, I've designated you to command them on the Melechsa Mishkan, Al yikal beinecho litchos es Shabbos ne'osem melocha. You should not take lightly the Shabbos to override it, to supersede it, for the sake of that melocha. Although I've designated you to command the Melechsa Mishkan, Al Yikal Beinecho. It's an interesting expression. It should not be taken lightly to supersede the Shabbos for that sake of the Melacha. What's Al Yikal? What would I think it supersedes the Shabbos? What would I think it supersedes the Shabbos? Got big lamdonim here. Alan, why would you think it should supersede the Shabbos? We know Pikuach Nefesh is the only thing that overrides the Shabbos. Why should this supersede the Shabbos? Now, once the Mishkan was built, we brought communal offerings. You had to slaughter, you had to kindle, you had to burn it, you had to do many things. So you see, the Melechsa Mishkan, the Avoda supersedes the Shabbos. We do see the Avoda. This is creating the setting for the Avoda, right? But the actual Avoda, look, once The Shechina is now amidst. Once it's there, whatever the responsibility you have to function within that context, it overrides the Shabbos. So evidently, you would think that maybe that even preparing the location for that, maybe that should also supersede the Shabbos, because you see how vital it is, right? It's Hechsher mitzvah, but it's a Hechsher mitzvah of what kind of mitzvah, right? Even though it's not simple. I mean, we ruled, there's a machlokes, Rebbe Lezer and Chachomim, everybody agrees, a child born on Shabbos, the milah supersedes the Shabbos. What about Hechsher mitzvah? What about preparing the knife for the, transporting the knife to do the milah? Machshir mitzvah, not Docha Shabbos. So you'd say maybe, according to Rebbe Lezer, that he's of the opinion that Machshir mitzvah Docha Shabbos, so maybe that's the reason you would say maybe the Mishkan should supersede the Shabbos. Right? Maybe. But even that's not simple. Rebbe Lezer is speaking, you have an obligation to circumcise on Shabbos, and unless you do the preparation, you're not going to be able to do the mitzvah. Look, we don't start doing the avodah until Hashem says to. And so if there's an obligation to do the avodah on Shabbos, and the only thing that prevents us doing the avodah is because the Mishkan hasn't yet been completed, I understand. So maybe there's a consideration, the building of the Mishkan should supersede the Shabbos. But there's no obligation to bring the Korban. Hashem will tell us when to bring Korban. The Mishkan was finished Hanukkah time. The Hakometz Mishkan was not till Nisan. But yet, despite that, I would think that initially, maybe the Malocha has such great value, it should supersede the Shabbos. So that you see, that's clearly has nothing to do with the Machlokes, Rebbe Lezer and the Chachomim. That Hechsher mitzvah should Docha Shabbos. Hechsher mitzvah Docha Shabbos only means where the preparation of the mitzvah does not allow the mitzvah to be executed. But if we're not holding by fulfilling the mitzvah yet, that's months off yet. But yet, there's still consideration that the building of the Mishkan should supersede the Shabbos, right? And avoda, without getting onto that, without it, right? But it has no relevance to that. We're not ready to do the avoda anyway, right? But also uses an interesting expression, al yikol beinecha. You should say, it doesn't, don't take it lightly. Al yikol beinecha litchus Shabbos. Don't take it lightly, therefore the Shabbos should be pushed aside, should be superseded. For that sake of that malacha. Meaning, you would think that the malacha, the Mishkan, the building Mishkan is so vital that should actually supersede, that minimizes the value of Shabbos. There's a word from Rabbeinu Simcha. Meir Simcha says, why, once the Mishkan was built, you're permitted to violate the Shabbos, and for the sake of the Mishkan, you're not permitted to violate the Shabbos, right? Once the Mishkan was intact, now you bring a korban. It's not a question. Definitely you bring it, but you're violating Shabbos. Within the context of Mishkan, you violate Shabbos, but to create the setting for the Mishkan, you don't violate the Shabbos. Now, once the Mishkan was built, for who are you doing the avodah? For Hashem, right? The Shechina is in the Mishkan. Vasli migdashu shachanti b'socham. So it's what kind of malacha are you not permitted to do? That's if you're doing for yourself. But if you're doing for God, you do it. But it has to be obvious. When is it obvious that you're doing for Hashem? If the Shechina is present, so therefore, that's not contradictory to the malacha, to creation. Hashem created in 6 days, refrained on the 7th day. That's when you're doing it for yourself. But so any mitzvah you do, you're doing for Hashem. No, it's not so simple. In the Mishkan, it was blatantly clear, indisputable. This is Hashem because you have the Shechina there. But until you have the Shechina, it's not obvious that you're doing for God. Therefore, that's considered doing the malacha. Therefore, you have to refrain. So you would think that maybe that the Mishkan itself, because that will facilitate the Shechina, maybe it's close enough, and therefore it should override the Shabbos, right? Similar to having the Shechina. On that he says, Al yikol beinecha. That's not a reason to minimize the Shabbos. That's why he uses maybe the expression Al yikal, from the word kal. Don't take it lightly. Don't take the Shabbos lightly. vis-a-vis the building of the Mishkan. Let's see the halacha.